On this episode of OneUnited, we cover America's education system and where educators are taking our kids, making them activists, not scholars. And as we move into this, the purpose of education is just that. It's education, not to indoctrinate, get the Marxists and activists out of our schools. We're going to cover a couple different things in tonight's episode and what we're seeing into our schools. I remember hearing in the 80s a former KGB operative saying, no, we're not going to fly in and bring in Russian troops to the United States. We are in it for the long term, meaning that we are going to infiltrate the U.S. system and slowly but surely change it from the inside out. So they were going to attack education, the schools, and the colleges, and slowly but surely kind of gaslight everybody to make this switch. And I think they've done a pretty good job, especially the last, I'd say, 10 years. We've seen their work really increase. And so we got a couple examples tonight that we're going to kind of share where we think the country's going. So what we're seeing right now is kind of this. This is kind of an interesting quote. When 1 in 4 Americans want to eliminate capitalism and embrace socialism, we know that we have failed to educate about the historical and moral failings of these ideologies. When our schools are failing us and we are seeing that they are more interested in creating activists versus scholars, we definitely have a problem. We got a couple clips here that we want to kind of listen to kind of talk about this and where we are kind of going with our school and education. So here we go.
So I was a 7th grade civics teacher, government teacher, and she is an elementary school teacher.
What year did we get our independence?
17 something.
I actually don't teach what's in our curriculum. I'm teaching children social studies that's not in our curriculum. I'm teaching them things about how to be an anti-racist. I taught them about protesting. I taught them about Black Lives Matter.
Well, folks, you got to pay attention. You got to start going to your the Board of Education, those meetings and things of that sort. See who exactly your teachers are. I think what COVID did was kind of wake us up. We kind of saw what they were doing in the classroom. Before we were kind of blind to it. COVID kind of opened our eyes. And, I remember it starting with Common Core math and things of that sort. Now we've kind of transitioned over to CRT. They're not doing it with a mask on. They have taken the mask off and full-fledged gone full board into this. One of the key indicators of our country is tearing apart is this switch to identity politics. I remember specifically in 2007, I was at my job and traveling up to Los Alamos Labs. I saw a big banner talk about diversity. And at first I was kind of like, what exactly is this diversity? Talk about hiring and things of that sort. It's really turned the last 10 to 12 years into just this identity politics, where you really take at the root core of diversity, the word, it's to divide. And the number one thing to do in Marxism is divide. So what we're seeing in our classrooms these days is definitely, the schools infiltrating and taking on these Marxist ideologies. So let's listen to another one here real quick.
I see teaching as a very political act. When we are engaging with our students, whether it's on social justice issues or multicultural issues or culturally relevant teaching, I see that as foundational to all learning.
No wonder our schools are sucking. They've taken their eye off the ball. Mathematics, reading, the simple things are not the focus now. We are definitely going right into identity politics. And you'll see it here from college students and even, teachers that don't know civics, don't know simple basics, but do know everything it is in regards to CRT, LGB, and the rest of this identity politics. Let's kind of jump on in here to some of the college students and what they have to say.
Are you proud to be an American? No. I feel embarrassed to be an American every day. I think a lot of things about this country are really embarrassing. Just like, racist history, colonization, even currently, just what's going on with politics and the cops. Not really in this climate. No, I'm a black person. So obviously I experience a lot of, there's oppression that comes with that. Not most of the time. I think sometimes it's just a little embarrassing. We claim to support everyone, but we continue to support Israel, which are dislocating quite a few Palestinian people, and that's, it's sad. I don't know.
No. Be proud of what? And what is there to be proud about if you're black and being, because it's just it's still a lot of stuff that goes on for black people.
I think that's a complicated question for me. I think I think most of the time, no, at least over the past 4 years, it's been tricky to, love to be an American.
Halfsies on that?
Partly, because, I feel like there's certain topics where it's, very controversial, but, I don't know. I just think that our economy just cares about money and not, they're humans, in general.
I wouldn't say that I am as proud as I was, but I would still say there's a little bit of country pride.
Do you think that America is the greatest country in this world? I think, to be a white person, it's pretty good to live here, but, overall, I don't think it's the greatest country in the world.
Okay, a couple things here before we continue with the clip here. The one student said the last 4 years. So I think that's a punch towards Trump, which in fact, a lot of this happened way before Trump. I think where we really saw it happening was 2008. Obama came in promising to unite the country and to heal us. And what we saw over the next 2 years from 08 to 10 was an ultra divide. It's, hey, we've got the car keys now, we're driving, get in the back seat type of thing. Instead of uniting, went full-fledged for the Affordable Health Care Act, which is not affordable at all, which literally tripled my premiums. But what we saw was definitely dividing. Racism got out there. Ferguson, Trayvon Martin, things of that sort really started to hype up. It wasn't out there as much before Obama. And then the next 8 years, we've gotten to 2012. We thought there was going to be a change, but then Romney was running, and Biden said Romney was going to put you all back in chains. So it wasn't really a lot of uniting talk. It was a lot of fear-mongering, and somehow Obama made it through 2012. I think Romney, after the first debate where he just smashed Obama, took his foot off the gas pedal and just went with it, and things went downhill from there. So is America racist? Hell no. I don't think so at all, because we voted for Obama twice. Okay. Are there racists in America? Yes. Come on, let's not be silly here. There are racists everywhere. There will always be a small percentage. And just because one group doesn't believe in what you believe doesn't make them the enemy. It just means that we have a disagreement, but we still can work together and compromise on different things. But that language has totally changed. If you are not for their policies, you are the enemy. That's the way it is right now, currently where we sit. And we're definitely seeing a lot of changes here. And in our schools, we're seeing a lot of the Howard Zinn. America is horrible. America is terrible. We took land away from the Native Americans and things of that sort. By the way, they never talk about how the Native Americans treated each other. The tribes were so much worse to each other than Americans were to the tribes. That is pure fact. Do your research, look at it, but there were some gruesome things that the tribes did to each other to fight over land, whether it be their land or their tribe's land. There was some horrendous actions, and let's face it, the entire world, the human race, we've seen some amazing disasters and sad tragedies. But America isn't the only one, so let's get off of that for a second. But going back to this, let's continue here with the college students.
No.
I feel like the American dream is so sought after that it's not even a thing anymore.
I don't even really think there is an American dream really anymore. I mean, like, I would honestly rather kind of live somewhere else. I don't know. I'd say that it's like the greatest in like the Olympics. The Olympics.
I don't know. America's not really known for being like the most hospitable place, even though we have a reputation like where it's like you can come here and do what you want to be what you want to be, and do what you want to do. It's not really the most welcoming to most people.
But yet, it's still the number one place. If you ask anybody in the world where would they like to go, they would come to America. The freedoms we have here, unfortunately, college students do not understand the entire breadth of freedom of speech. In a lot of countries, you can't speak your mind. Here you can. And here, as much as you may hate capitalism, and I do have to agree with them right now, we don't have capitalism. We have crony capitalism going right now, where big corporations and government are getting together. And that being said, capitalism is the best system currently out there to help folks raise from poverty up the ladder, proven time and time again. Capitalism, socialism always go down the wrong road and enters into death and destruction. Of course, these college students aren't taught that. Let's continue.
Can you name a country that's more welcoming than the United States?
Not really. I don't really know that. I don't really have that much information.
Can you name a better country than the United States in your opinion?
I'm not sure if I can.
I don't think I can.
I mean, there's probably a really tiny European country that's thriving.
Ooh, good question. Europe?
Europe's not a country.
Well, you get what I'm saying.
Have you ever considered moving to another country?
Oh, absolutely.
I think I had joked about it. Joked, but was, fully serious. Like, oh, I'm going to move to Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person that likes to help people, so I would actually consider going someplace like with more poverty. Yeah, probably.
Would you be willing to give up your U.S. citizenship?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that necessary. I mean, I can still take vacations here. Definitely, yeah, 100%. Actually, yeah.
Would you say that a college has helped shape your perception of being not proud to be an American?
I would say yeah, because I went to an HBCU, so yeah, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. I went to American, which is an extremely liberal bubble school, so I know it's kind of like lots of liberals just preaching to the choir, but I think I learned a lot that I'm from Georgia, and I would have never learned if I had not taken those classes, just about the way the justice system works and zoning laws and everything else. So I think college opened my eyes to a lot of these things.
Okay, so kind of depressing in a way, but there's one thing that I learned when I went away to college. I went to a Christian college. It was a small bubble and things of that sort, and it was a lot of folks. Small school, grew up in the church, things of that sort. Went to my first day in my Old Testament class, and the teacher walks in there, kind of grumpy old guy, starts talking about the Bible and starts throwing it around and going, why do you believe this? This isn't, this is fairy tales. This is not true. Why do you even believe this stupid book? And all of the students were kind of looking around going, what is this guy teaching Old Testament for? Who is this guy? And lo and behold, the next day we come in and we're like, dude, we need to get this guy kicked out. He opens the class and says, hey, I just gave you guys probably the number one lesson you ought to learn. Why do you believe what you believe? And that's what he was doing. We were born, we were raised in this particular religion, if you will. Did we ever think outside the box? Did we ever think, why do we believe this? No. And so what this professor did was give us the idea to think, wait, why do you believe this? Here are some other religions. What do you think of them? And, doing some true critical thinking, which is what the colleges are supposed to do. But these days, if you bring up capitalism or a different way, or how America is great, it gets shot down right away. So the battlefield of ideas is not tested out in college. It's actually frowned upon, and we'll get into that a little bit later. That kind of jumps into the favorite topic of any liberal school is the folks out there are fascists. Again, the schools aren't teaching exactly what fascism is. If they would truly look at what it is, they would look internally and see themselves actually being the fascists. When corporations get in bed with the government, that's fascism. And we are definitely seeing that with big tech, with big pharma, and within the colleges. It's terrible. So our last segment here, we're going to kind of jump into Bill Maher, who better watch out. He's going to get fired someday. The man is, I give him credit. He's a critical thinker, and sometimes, most of the time now, he's just shocking me with stuff that actually makes sense. And he has a good conversation here with Rob Reiner, who is a complete lib, about the Hunter Biden laptop and how the media suppressed that before the election. So we'll jump right in here.
Nothing is justified in preventing them from taking office, is it?
No. You know what's not justified? Using armed violence to try to kill people in the Capitol. That's not justified.
Answer this question. Is it, was it?
Okay, so Rob dives into January 6th. January 6th was not great, okay? It's everyone's against January 6th, okay? Rob, answer the question. Was it right of the news and the media to block out the Hunter Biden laptop? Take it, Bill.
Answer this question.
What is
was
the
it
question?
appropriate? The question is, was it
the press-
appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course, you don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, then you would know about this.
I do know about that.
Well, you're acting like you know.
I do know about that, and I do watch Fox. But the point is, we're going to prove now that the press tried to.
They're admitting it.
The press is admitting it.
Yes, that's not even an issue anymore. They're saying, yes, we basically did this because we didn't want this to throw the election. Yes?
I don't know that they've all said this, and I believe strongly
well, the New York
in the
Times
First
definitely
Amendment.
didn't.
My dad was a reporter. I believe in it, and I think you have to make sure that you're treating people fairly. But I think Rob's point here is that we are dealing with a man who used to be the president right now, who literally tried to lead an armed insurrection, and that's why we're so focused on this right now. And I have not been, as you've noticed, as bombastic as my friend here about what's going to happen. About what's going to happen coming out of what they just got out of Mar-a-Lago. I don't know, and just as I don't know what's going to happen in these cases, I believe you got to let the Justice Department do their jobs.
So, do the ends justify the means? Let's just end it with this. Marxists believe in stopping at nothing to achieve their goals. we're going down the wrong path, I have to say, right now in our country and where we're heading. When our schools and our educators are pushing out there the oppressor versus the oppressed, you can't make it in today's society. The man has got you down. We have the wrong people teaching. We really do. We've got to do something together. We've got to educate each other. We've got to be a little more involved in our schools, in these colleges. We've got to stop sending our kids to these colleges if they do go. This is the other thing I learned in regards to church one day. I was told, hey, you shouldn't really go there to that school or hang out with that group. But I'll tell you what, if you don't go there, that group will remain in the dark. They need somebody who will show them the light, if you will. And these schools need kids and students that will challenge those ideas, whether it be climate change, CRT, identity politics. We need to be involved in the conversation. And if there's one thing I have to say, is that a lot of us aren't participating, and we need to speak up. And one thing to kind of talk about in regards to OneUnited, it's not about red or blue here. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about America. And, rooting for America is not a bad thing. And making America great again is not a bad thing. In fact, a lot of the folks on the left who think America is horrible, I would hope would want to see America great again. That wasn't a slogan that was started by Trump. Reagan had it first. And what citizen wouldn't want America to be great? I would think everybody would want America to be great. A fair and just country that believes in equal rights. And another episode we'll touch on equity. Equity has its problems. Equality is where it should be. And a colorblind society is important. I'm not saying that we don't acknowledge cultures. We definitely want to do that and embrace them. Because it comes down to pluribus unum, out of many one. And we are a melting pot. Although we don't entirely melt, we have communities that are, self-segregated. But hey, we're human beings and we like to be around folks that are like us. So, any which way. But there's one thing we do have in common, and that is being Americans. And we should unite on that and stop with this political theater. Because we do, folks. We have the JV team in office right now, and it's been there for decades. We have folks that have been there for decades, for over 40 years. We have folks that are over 75, 80 years old. That should be gone. I'm sorry. If you've been there that long, and if you are not retired at 65 from, helping your country, you need to go away. We need term limits on these folks as well, but that's another episode. Until then, thanks for joining us. If you like the content, like and subscribe, and we'll chat with you later. Thanks.